welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Maria and today's video is going to be a reading vlog and it's basically going to be a bit of a TBR takedown. So I think I've seen Ellen Catherine use this term and a few other booktubers have said it as well, but I just wanted to cite that that is kind of where I got the inspiration for the video, and mainly because I still have quite a few books on my TBR for the month of July. So currently it is the 26th of July and I still got around 5 books on my TBR. So these are the 5 books that I still need to read if I want to meet my TBR this month. So I've got Howl's Moving Castle, All Roads Lead Here, Binding 13, The Curse of Saints, and then Tress of the Emerald Sea. So as you can see, a couple of these are a little bit chunky, so I'm not sure if I'm definitely going to meet them all, but basically the point of this video is to try and read all of these before Wednesday. So today's Friday, I think I've got around 5.5 days or something like that, so it is maybe doable, but only if I'm reading quite a lot. The video is just going to be a reading vlog, seeing how many of these I can read before the end of the month, giving you my ratings, my reviews and everything like that. So yeah, as I say, just be trying to read as much as I can before the end of the month, just because I know that I will want to put different books on my TBR for next month, so hoping to read as many of these as possible before the month ends. And the two that I've decided to start with are Keeping 13 and The Curse of Saints. So Keeping 13 is the sequel to Binding 13, so I thought a good choice would be Keeping 13 because then it means I'm continuing a series that I've already started. But then The Curse of Saints is one that I really wanted to read this month. I seen Coffeandtales talk about it. She really loved it and it sounds like it's going to be the perfect kind of book for me as well. So I'm going to start with these two and see how I get on. Just to give you a very brief synopsis, so obviously I won't give you a synopsis for Keeping 13, but Binding 13 follows Johnny and Shannon. So Shannon is around 15 or 16 when the book starts and she's been bullied in her past school. So at the start of Binding 13 she's actually starting a new school called Tommen, so that's why it's the Boys of Tommen series. And basically when she's there she meets Johnny, who is kind of the star rugby player of the school, and Shannon actually has quite a troubled home life. You know, she comes from quite an abusive home and it's just kind of following their lives, the trials and tribulations of being a teen, kind of coming of age and things like that. So I really enjoyed the first one. It set at around a 3.5 star for me, but I'm really intrigued to continue the series and see where it goes. And this second book does also follow Johnny and Shannon, but there are other books in the series that follow other characters. So I believe this is the last one that follows Johnny and Shannon and then it moves on to other characters. And then The Curse of Saints is, I believe it's enemies to lovers or reluctant allies to lovers or something like that, but it just says, as spy master to the Queen, Aya's blood oath ensures she protects those she fights alongside, including Will, the Queen's enforcer, and Aya's bitter rival. So yeah, I think it's going to be enemies to lovers. When rumours of dark magic rise in a nearby kingdom, both are sent to investigate, but when Aya's power acts beyond her god's given affinity, she risks being turned into a weapon in a war that she doesn't know how to win. So yeah, it definitely sounds like there's going to be some political intrigue in there as well, and I mean, as soon as it says enemies to lovers, I'm usually pretty sold. So as I say, Coffeandtales said that this was really good. It doesn't look like it's going to be too much of a long read. I mean, there is around 300 or 400 pages, but the rating is quite big in this edition that I have, so I don't actually think it's that long a read. But yeah, excited to jump into this one as well. So yeah, just going to go and read some of these now. As I say, it's Friday evening, so pretty much just going to be sitting reading for most of the time. I think I'll start with this one because I'm reading this one physically, so I'll read this, and then I do have the audiobook of this on Everand as well, so maybe keep this for my before bedtime read, just because I do like to listen to the audiobook when I'm reading at night time, just in case my eyes start to get tired. It usually makes it a bit easier. But yeah, start with this one and then I'll read this one later, but I'll give you an update once I've read a little bit of these. Okay, so quick update, just as I've been reading here for an hour, so I'm about 56 pages into The Curse of Saints, and I think that is chapter 9. And so far so good. I'm really enjoying this. It kind of starts off right in the thick of it, so there's basically action from the first chapter. I'd say up to now there's been a lot of kind of world building and stage setting, so obviously we're just figuring out who everybody is, where they are, why they're there, and that type of thing. But yeah, there's been quite a lot of world building. I'm not sure I'm quite grasping it all yet, but I am enjoying kind of the direction that it's going in, the does seem to be a lot of political kind of intrigue in here. There seems to be a lot of political tension as well, so I'm guessing it's obviously going to lead on to potentially a war between some of the kingdoms or something like that. So yeah, so far so good. Really enjoying it, enjoying the kind of characterizations, enjoying the writing style as well, the way that the world building is being interwoven in there. Our main character, Aya, definitely seems like that kind of typical badass female, you know, doesn't need anybody to kind of protect her. She can definitely take care of herself, and I can see that there's definitely like walls put up there in terms of her personality. You can see that she doesn't really let many people in. She has a friend who she lets in called Tova, who you can kind of see her guard is down with her a little bit, but it seems like with everybody else she definitely has this shield up against any emotions or anything like that. And I'm guessing as the book goes on we'll basically find out why. It has already said that she lost her mother, so I'm enjoying her characterization so far, and I definitely think there's going to be hidden depth there in terms of why Aya is that way. And then with Will, who is the Queen's enforcer and kind of her second hand essentially, I'm quite intrigued to see how his story kind of develops and kind of his background. We are definitely getting a good bit of background already just in terms of Will and Aya's relationship and how they know each other and their history, and let's just say they're definitely enemies at this point, and there's been a few things that have happened to kind of signify that, which I really like, because I hate when a book says enemies to lovers and then you get into the story and they basically had a disagreement once and it doesn't really dictate that they're enemies. It's just that they don't really like each other that much. But a few things have happened in here that's definitely giving that enemies to lovers vibes, but we'll see how it goes. But I'll be interested to see how that dynamic changes, because I'm guessing from the blurb that it does. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that happens and how that develops. But yeah, as I say, 56 pages in, so not too far in. That's probably only about 15% into the book, so haven't really learned much yet. As I say, still quite a lot of book to go, but just wanted to give a quick update on what my initial thoughts were, my initial feelings, and yeah, I say so far so good, really enjoying it. I'll probably read a little bit more now. I'm just about to make dinner, so I am going to actually just listen to the audiobook while I'm doing that. It's on Spotify, so I'll just listen to a few chapters while I'm making dinner, and then later I probably will pick up Keeping 13, so I'll get whatever I can get read of this one while I'm making dinner and then switch over to the other book for my kind of late night reading. So yeah, as I say, so far so good. Hoping it continues in the way it has started, and yeah, I'll give you an update once I've read a bit more. So just jumping on with a quick update. So I've just been reading The Curse of Saints and I'm around 50% through this one at the moment, and yeah, I'm really liking it so far. I think we're still kind of building the world, still kind of building the history of the world, and kind of the story is still building there, but so far I'm really liking the writing style, really liking the characters. I'm liking that kind of as the story's going along we're finding hidden depths within the characters, kind of there's secrets being revealed, there's alliances that we are learning about that are kind of tempestuous and, you know, building the intrigue there. So yeah, I mean, at the moment Aya and Will, who are the two main characters in this, have been sent off on this mission to another part of the kingdom to basically work on the allegiance with that kingdom, work on the kind of agreements that they have with them, and also to try and rally their help with an impending war that they believe will be coming to the land. So there's a lot of court politicking going on, a lot of kind of negotiation talks, a lot of secret meetings and things like that. And yeah, really enjoying that aspect of it, as well as the relationship between Will and Aya is really interesting to watch as well. So they are kind of pitted as enemies at the moment. So there's a lot of tension kind of building with them and all of the scenes that they're in. And I really do like that in this one they are actually, you know, maybe not enemies. I do think enemies is probably a strong wrong word for what they are, but they certainly don't like each other at this point. They certainly don't get along. They really frustrate each other. You know, there is a lot of tension there, but that will lead to, I imagine, a really satisfying romance, if that is what happens. I mean, I'm guessing from the blurb that's what happens, so it's not a spoiler. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I'm assuming that they are going to come together at some point in this. Now, what I will say is also great about this is the chapters are really short. I think they're like 5 pages each, so I feel like I'm reading it quite fast. As I said, I'm around 50% through now, so at chapter 38, and yeah, it's reading really fast. Seems to be quite a lot of action going on. I would say that yes, there has been a lot of world building, but I don't think it's too incredibly dense or anything. The magic system in here seems to be kind of affinities for air, wind, fire, that type of thing. There's also some affinities for, you know, physical manipulation as well as psychological, so manipulation and things like that. You can be what they call a Percy, so someone who is able to persuade people. You may hear some snores as Frank is sleeping beside me, so sorry about that if you do. But yeah, so basically the affinities in the world building and the magic system and things like that, I don't think they're too dense to kind of understand. The gods in that, there is a glossary at the back of the book that does explain it, so if I do kind of get confused about anything, I can look there. But as I say, it's not too dense, not too difficult to understand or follow or anything. So yeah, so far still really enjoying it. Interested to see where it leads and see how some of the plot lines develop that are in here, because there is a plot line going on, and I don't want to say, I'd imagine it's a bit of a spoiler, but yeah, interested to see where it goes. And then last night I did start keeping 13 as well, so I'm not too far into this one. I'm on page 62, and that is, I'm not sure what chapter it is, they're not numbered in the book, but yeah, basically just started this one last night before I went to bed, and I have to say I'm really enjoying this one. Enjoying might be the wrong word just because of the theme that's in here, but I am really appreciating this one a lot more than I maybe did the first one. And one of the main reasons is, one of my gripes with the first book was there was a lot of talk about obviously Shannon's home life and her abuse and things like that, and I really felt like it didn't really delve into how that affected her and the family, and how it kind of affected the children and the family life that they had. And straight off the bat in this one, straight in, it is kind of exploring that a bit more and how they've been affected by that, how it is affecting their kind of mental state and things like that. And I really appreciate that, because it's one thing that I thought maybe was not so much careless in the first book, but it kind of felt like it was brushed over, and it didn't feel like the subject had really been delved into, and it felt like a plot device rather than something that might really help anyone who's maybe in this situation, which I think if you're going to write about situations like that, you should kind of use it as an opportunity to do that. So really appreciating that in this one. I am still appreciating some of the humour in here. Obviously with the situation that's going on at the moment, there hasn't been as much of that, but Johnny's best friend Gibbsy is still giving off a few good one-liners, so far so good. I was listening to the audiobook for this one initially, but for some reason I just cannot listen to the narrators. I don't think they're bad narrators or anything, but as an Irish person, sometimes listening to Irish accents on, you know, TV or audiobooks or anything like that, it's just really grating. I think the male narrator for it may actually be from Northern Ireland as well, and I think he may be doing a southern accent, and it just makes it worse. I don't know why, it's just grating for me. I'm sure if you're not from Ireland, or if you don't mind listening to your own accent, you may not have an issue with it, but for me it was just grating a little bit. So I think I'm just going to read this one physically. I did get it on my Kindle as well, so this is a bit easier to read at night time, because this is pretty chunky. It's 800 pages, so might be a little bit difficult to read. But yeah, so far so good. As I say, I really appreciate the themes that are being built in this one, and yeah, really appreciating kind of the deeper dive that she is doing in this book, and just interested to see how she's going to fill 800 pages with this relationship and with these characters. And yeah, just interested to see where it goes. But yeah, so far so good, as I say, with both of them. Really enjoying them. Hoping that this one's going to read a little bit quicker than I'm expecting, because yeah, it's quite a chunky one, and I think it is going to take me quite a while to get through. But I'll give you an update once I've read a little bit more on both of those. Probably once I've finished The Curse of Saints, I'll give you an update on kind of my overall thoughts. And as I say, this one might take a while, so I might give you a few updates in between for this one. with a quick update because I have actually finished The Curse of Saints, and yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I thought it was really well written. I thought the world building was really good. It was quite intricate but not too dense, so it wasn't anything that you're going to really need to concentrate on, but I thought there was enough there to kind of keep me intrigued. The magic system was really good as well. I just loved that it was proper kind of enemies to lovers in this one as well. I did like that the issues that they had with each other were actually believable and real, and kind of seeing what they had to overcome kept me invested in the story as well. I think the only reason it wasn't 5 stars for me was there was a few plot points that were a little bit predictable, and other than that, I just really enjoyed it, and I'm really excited actually to move on to the next book. So the next book is in my TBR for August, so I'll be picking that one up soon, hopefully, so that I continue with it. But yeah, as I say, 4 stars. I think it was a really good, solid story. I think there's enough of a fantasy element in here, enough politics in here to keep you intrigued, on top of the romance as well. I do think the 2 stories could hold their own if the other wasn't there. So yeah, perfect kind of mix of fantasy, politics and romance for me. So yeah, really good, 4 stars for this one. And then I'm about 50% through Keeping 13, and honestly I'm really loving this. It is making me chuckle quite a lot. It's making me smile. It's really making me reminisce on kind of my younger years and when I was that age and kind of the things that you go through. Obviously I'm very lucky to know that I'm not in a similar situation to the main female character here, but just the way that the characters are interacting with each other, their friendships, their relationships, you know, kind of building those relationships with each other. I think it's all very relatable, and it's done in quite a comedic way as well. I think Gibbsy is still my favourite character. I absolutely love him. I know that when I was younger he probably would have been the boy that I would have liked. You know, it's one of those ones you're kind of reminiscing on the times when you were that age yourself. Fun you have and kind of discovering everything. Everyone feels a little bit awkward, they don't really know what to do and a little bit uncertain, and I think she's writing that really well in here. I would say as well, even though I don't think this is kind of directed at young readers, but I do think that anyone kind of maybe over the age of 16 would benefit from reading this. I think it shows really good healthy relationships when it comes to the young characters in here and kind of how a relationship should be, showing respect for each other. And yeah, I just think there's a lot of really great representation in here for that and how a relationship should be, whereas with some other books that I'm reading about characters of similar ages and characters who have been together for some time, I do think it comes off as a little more toxic in some of those other stories. So say Magnolia Parks for instance, I know that a lot of young people will be reading that and be aspiring to have that kind of intense love story that's in there, but really a lot of what happens in there is extremely toxic, and it is kind of being romanticized a little bit, not by the author. The author has said that it's, you know, not a romance and you shouldn't look at it as a romance, but just the situations that the characters are in are being romanticized by the readers. And I actually think that this is a much better representation of what a young relationship should be and how you should be treated in a young relationship, especially if you come from quite a vulnerable background or are quite a vulnerable person because of your background. So yeah, all in all, really enjoying this one. As I say, it is really funny. I'm kind of flying through it, even though, you know, I'm only 50% through, but it's quite a chunky book, so that's around 350 to 400 pages that I've read so far. So yeah, still really enjoying this. I'm just going to keep reading this as the days go on alongside anything else that I'm reading, because it is quite an easy read. It's quite an easy audiobook to listen to as well, so if I'm doing some admin I can listen to it in the background because it's not too convoluted. You can kind of still follow the story without having to concentrate too much on it, but trying to read it as much as possible physically so that I am taking it all in. But yeah, really enjoying this one. But I think I'm going to pick up Howl's Moving Castle now to see if I can try and fit this in. This one is quite a short one. Excuse me, Frank wants his spot on the video. But yeah, I think I'm going to pick up this one next, Howl's Moving Castle. It is quite a short one, and because this is YA, the text in here is quite big as well, so hoping I'll be able to sift through this quite quickly and get through it quite quickly. It's Monday now, so I do have kind of 2.5 days to finish the rest of the books I have. So I have this one, then I still do have Tress of the Emerald Sea, and then All Roads Lead Here. I'm pretty certain I'm not going to fit them all in because All Roads Lead Here is quite a long book. I think it's around 600 to 700 pages, so that may not get completed by Wednesday, but I'm going to try and fit this in, and then maybe Tress of the Emerald Sea as well. I do have audiobooks for both of those, so again it just helps me to try and get in as much reading as possible when I have the audio as well. But yeah, I'll give you an update once I've read some of this one and once I've read a bit more of this, and I'll let you know how I'm getting on. So to just jumping on because I've just finished Hal's Moving Castle, and honestly I really loved it. I wasn't too sure what to expect because it is a middle grade book, so I wasn't too sure if it was going to keep me engaged or if I was going to be too interested in the story, but pleasantly surprised by it. I think it was really whimsical, it was really endearing, kind of a coming of age story, kind of a story to teach children, I suppose, to look inside themselves, to, you know, discover who they really are. But just to give you a quick synopsis, because I don't think I did in the last clip, basically it follows our main protagonist, Sophie. Sophie is the oldest of 3 sisters. At the start of the story, their father passes away, and in order to kind of keep the family afloat, her stepmother does send out the 3 girls, so her and her 2 sisters, out to get apprenticeships in other shops. However, Sophie stays in the shop with her stepmother as a hatter, and basically along the way Sophie comes across the Witch of the Waste, who is kind of this revered character within this world. Everyone knows that she's evil and you're kind of supposed to stay away from her, but the Witch of the Waste comes into the shop looking for a hat. Sophie doesn't seem to be able to give her what she's looking for, so the witch actually puts a curse on her. So in order to kind of rectify that, Sophie goes out in search of Howl and his moving castle, and the story kind of goes from there. But yeah, I just think it was incredibly whimsical, really endearing. Definitely think it's a great story for young readers. I think if I had read it when I was maybe about, you know, between 11 to 14, I can just imagine myself getting really obsessed with it. I'm probably one of the few people who has never watched the movie, so I'm not sure how it compares. I've heard that it is quite a different story than the movie, but yeah, really loved it. I ended up rating it 4.5 stars. Really enjoyed it. Loved the characters, loved the story, loved the plot. It was quite a quick read. It's only around 300 pages, and I listened to the audiobook for most of it, and the audiobook was actually really good, so I definitely recommend it. But yeah, really glad I read that one, and I seem to be having a good run with the books in this vlog, so excited to keep that going. I am going to pick up Tress of the Emerald Sea because I think I may have a chance of finishing that before tomorrow. Today is Tuesday, so I've only got today and tomorrow to kind of finish my TBR. It's more than likely that I'm not going to finish all 5 books that were on the TBR because I still have around 40% of Binding 13 to finish, and again it's around 800 pages of that book, so I still got around probably 400, maybe 350 pages to read there. And then Tress of the Emerald Sea, I think it's around 350 pages or something like that as well, so still pretty ambitious, and I'm not sure if I'll even finish both of those, but I know for sure that I'll not get to All Roads Lead Here by Mariana Zapata, but we'll see how we get on. I'll see if I even can get that one started, but yeah, pretty sure the Tress of the Emerald Sea will probably be the last one I'll pick up for this vlog, so I'll let you know once I've read a little bit of that one and a little bit more of Binding 13, give you kind of my final thoughts on that one as well. But yeah, so far so good, having a good run with the books that have been on this vlog, and excited to pick up Tress. It's one that's been on my TBR for quite some time, so yeah, really excited to get to it. So just jumping on to round out this vlog, and I have actually finished 4 books for the vlog, so I pretty much knew I wasn't going to get the 5 books read yesterday because I haven't even started All Roads Lead Here. But to be fair, I'm actually pretty happy that I managed to read all 4 of these within 5 days. Considering this one is like 800 pages, I do think that I did quite well. So I'll just give you a quick roundup on the ones that I've finished since we last spoke. So the first one was Keeping 13, and this one I finished this today, and honestly I really loved it. I didn't expect to enjoy this series as much as I have done. I thought firstly just because it's about much younger people than myself, I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to connect with the characters, as well as some of the themes that are in here, and with it being kind of marketed as a sports romance. Again, it's not usually my kind of go-to genre, but what I will say is, even though it is kind of marketed as a romance and a sports romance at that, I definitely think this goes well above and beyond what that genre would kind of pin this as. I think it was much more a book about friendships, sacrifice, determination, depression, grief, trauma, and kind of dealing with that and coming to terms with that. So yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I ended up landing on a 4-star for this one, potentially 4.5 really the more I'm reflecting on it. But the only thing I would say about these is they are a little bit long. As I say, this is 800 pages. So could that have been edited out? Could there have been a few scenes that maybe didn't need to be in here? Perhaps. But yeah, I think other than that, I really thought it was quite a good series so far. I'm excited to read the rest of the series. I think the plot in this one did really set up the next duet for, I believe it follows Joey, who is Shannon's brother in this one. So yeah, really excited to continue the series. I probably will pick it up sooner than I anticipated picking it up because I'll be interested to see how those characters get on. But yeah, really enjoyed this one. And as I say, 4 to 4.5. And then I've literally just finished this one. So Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson. And this one, it was okay. It was okay. It wasn't quite what I was expecting, but I don't think I gave you a synopsis or kind of a quick run through on what this one's about. So basically, Tress of the Emerald Sea follows our main character Tress, who lives on this land, which is kind of quite a hostile environment in terms of the makeup of the world. So basically, it's kind of, this world is filled with smog, and around it the seas are basically not filled with water. They're filled with these spores that are kind of have different elements and different properties within them, but what makes them kind of dangerous is if they come in contact with any type of liquid, so whether that be tears, sweat, saliva, whatever it may be, they have the potential to kill the people within this land. And essentially it can be through, I think green spores are like vines and trees and things like that. So if you get a spore in your eye, it'll basically explode your head because of the way that they react with liquids. And basically at the start of this, Tress is described as kind of a simple girl. She's not a hero. She's, you know, not anything extraordinary or anything like that. She likes to collect cups and, I mean, relatable. But basically she has this friend who is the son of the Duke, and essentially at the start of it he is sent away to another land to find a bride, and he doesn't return. Basically the Duke has said that he got lost in an accident or something like that along the way and has brought back kind of this replacement heir. So Tress decides to go on a voyage to try and save her friend, who she is quite close with, and it kind of just follows her journey in doing that, and her journey, I suppose, of self-discovery, maybe discovering why she is a little bit extraordinary and things like that. And that was kind of the premise that I'd heard and that I was quite interested in. And this one, I think the reasons that I didn't enjoy it as much as I was hoping to is, firstly, it's in first person POV, which isn't a problem, but it's kind of first person from another character's point of view, if that makes sense. So basically the narrator is one of the characters within the story, but it's not Tress, so it's not kind of her point of view. And the point of view that we got was quite almost satirical, so very sarcastic, very, you know, almost self-depreciating in terms of the story. So, oh, why would someone think that? Well, let me tell you, you know, the fourth wall was broken quite a lot, and it was almost a little bit cringy at times in terms of the humour. I think it was maybe just overdone. It was trying to be quite whimsical and funny and jovial, but I think it was almost overdone a little bit, for me personally anyway. It made me disconnect with the story a little bit because of that, you know, breaking the fourth wall so often. And then also I do think that the pacing really struggled with this one. I know that it is supposed to be a cozy fantasy, so the stakes aren't supposed to be too high, but with the premise of the story, it could have, you know, the stakes were relatively high. It was quite medium the whole way through, but yeah, I just felt like the pacing was quite slow for most of it, apart from maybe like the last 10%. And yeah, it just felt like a little bit of a slog to get through. So other than kind of the world building and the characterization and a few bits in there that were quite funny, it just didn't really hit for me, unfortunately. So this one I'm kind of landing on around a 3 to 3.5, which I didn't expect. To be honest, I expected to really enjoy this one, but yeah, I don't know if it's just that I wasn't in the mood for it or if maybe just the narration style wasn't for me, but yeah, 3 to 3.5 for this one, unfortunately. So not the best way to end the reading vlog, but still not terrible. As I say, it's definitely not something that I would say is terribly written. I think the world building and the characterization was really good, but just unfortunately it just didn't hit the way I wanted it to. So just to recap on all of the books I read then within this vlog, I started off with The Curse of Saints by Kate Dramas, and this was a 4-star. Really enjoyed this. If you like romantasy, definitely recommend this. Then the next one was Howl's Moving Castle, and again, love this. Very whimsical, very magical, very quick read, and yeah, ended up on 4.5 for this one. And then as I just said, I read Keeping 13 by Chloe Walsh, and it was a 4 to 4.5, and then ended on Brandon Sanderson, Tress of the Emerald Sea, and this one was around a 3 to 3.5. So yeah, that's everything for this vlog. I'm surprised that I actually got to read the 4 books, considering, as I say, that one of them was 800 pages. I'm pretty happy with the outcome of that so far, so all roads that lead here may be on next month's TBR, or I'll just try and fit it in where I need to, because I have picked picked my TBR for August, so I'm really excited to jump into some of those, so I may leave that book for later in the TBR. Let me know how you got on with your reading in July. Did you manage to meet your TBR? Do you set TBR? Did you meet your kind of reading goals? Did you read all the books that you wanted to get to, or do you have to push any of them over to August? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, do remember to give it a like, and if you want to see more from me, remember to subscribe. I'll be posting 2 videos a week, and it's videos like this, so reading vlogs, it'll also be book hauls, come shopping with me's, all good bookish things like that. Other than that, thanks so much for watching this one. I hope you did enjoy it, and I'll see you in my next one soon. Bye!